Radio Hamro, you're on the air.
Hi.
Hi, thanks for calling.
I have a question regarding to my daughter. She is going to change her preschool because the current preschool is a little bit far, and we have some problems with the distance. But now we got the place in a very, very close, actually the closest one, which is like 200 meters away from us. So we decided to change her preschool. She started when she was 2 years old, and now in 20th of August she will be 3. So my question is, how many hours now she can be in preschool? Because I heard from your father that when they are so young, it's better not to be like 8 hours in preschool. It's better to be like a half time. So she was half time. Only those days we had to put her there just a few days. That she would stay. She was staying there for until 4 o'clock. But otherwise, she comes home on like 12:30. Now she's going to be 3 years old, and I want to know how can we put her in the preschool a little bit longer, or we should continue with half time?
Well, I think for each family, the questions that come up are how do you make it work in your family? So if you have no other choice than to put her there full time, it might not be ideal, but I don't think it's that harmful if the other situations or other aspects of the family make that more appropriate. So tell me a bit about what makes you want to keep her there all day.
Actually, it's about my time schedule, because here we live in Sweden, and in Sweden, if parents are working or studying, depends on their schedule, the children have the right to be in preschool. So, for example, if I work from 12 to 5 p.m., the child has the right to be 12 from 5, something like that. If I work half time or full time, it depends on my shift. So I want to know. That's why I'm asking, because I can. We can live with less money, but if it's better for our child, so we do that. So I can also work like half time. But sometimes the schedule is different. For example, some days it's from 8 to 1 o'clock, or some days it's from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock, something like that. I also have another question regarding to this. Is it okay for the child one day go in the morning time, another day go after lunch?
Well, in general, consistency is good, especially when you're changing the school. It likely will be better to keep it consistent. So probably better to keep it as consistent as possible for your child to know what to expect. Now, tell me a bit about your child. What is she like? Was it easy for her to go to preschool to begin with? What was that transition like for her?
Actually, it was very easy for her. She's the only child, and we didn't expect that she liked preschool that much. She almost forgot about us and just left us and went to play with the teacher and see other kids. And she loves the school, and honestly, the school also is very good. So,
okay.
Yeah, she is very okay.
Okay, and although you're saying she's leaving that school to come to a new school?
Yes,
okay.
Which is very close to us,
yeah. So we'll have to see how that transition is for her. If she had such a good transition there, likely she's not going to have such a hard time. Change can be tough for a lot of kids, but if she transitioned to preschool easier, then likely change won't be as hard for her. So let's see how she does there. I would say initially not to take her to full-time when you go to a new preschool. So when she's transitioning, I would keep it the same as much as you can because of that. So I wouldn't go to switching to full day, if you can.
Okay. We already started to talk about her because when we go out shopping from the supermarket, it's right next to the supermarket preschool, and she looks at the kids are playing in the yard, and we always tell her that this is going to be your new kindergarten or something. And she is very curious and she wants to go and talk to the children, something like that. But as you say, how long should we keep this consistent?
I mean, I know you're looking for like a very clear guideline of this is the exact amount of time. I don't think there is something like that to say that after 1 month you can transition to longer, if that seems to make sense. I would see how it's going for her, see how she's feeling. It seems like she's more, her disposition is more secure, or not a very difficult temperament, and like she, in general, is she okay with change or with things being different?
We try to keep the routine
Sure.
for her, but for example, when we bought a new car, she first didn't want to get in the new car. She wants to be in the old car. So she was a little bit upset about it, and she wanted to be in the first car. So it's something like that. But after like 2 times, then she got used to it, and she followed with the second car also.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
And she's very social.
Right. So it seems like
the
kids made her curious. Yeah. The kids make, and that's good. She seems to like being around kids her age and playing, and that's good. So she will be okay. And I think eventually switching or transitioning to a longer day would be okay, especially as she gets closer to 3. So I don't think it's exactly, like I said, there's a set timeline she has to do this. I would say when she's changing, I wouldn't go to a new school and longer hours all at once. But change to the new school, at least, let's say, since if you're looking for a time, at least a month or 2, and then she'll get closer to 3 as well, if that works for you. Because again, a lot of these things, parents want to know what's the exact right thing. When do you stop this? When should you start this? And there are some guidelines at times, but what's also very important is to look family to family to see what your unique circumstances are. Because let's say you keep it at 4 or 5 hours a day, but it creates a very big burden on you and on your family. That might hurt you and her even more than if it's better to stay 4 hours versus 8 hours. So you have to also look at your own situation to make the determination of what's the best thing to do. My sense from what you're saying is the transition, there could be some, even if she likes the new kids or, was curious, it might still take her a little bit of time. So I'd give her some time to adjust to that, and then you can see how extending goes. And even with that, see how that goes. If you try 7-8 hours and it's much too long, or she seems to be really upset or gets affected by it, you can go back. So I want you to recognize that some of what you'll be doing is looking at her and your family to see what's working and not working. Not that if I told you 8 hours is good, it doesn't matter if she's unhappy, you keep her there 8 hours.
And how about switching the shifts? I mean, one day she goes in the morning and another day she goes in the afternoon.
Well, it could be okay. The things that come to my mind is also, will the kids she's with be different? And so that can also affect how comfortable she feels. If there's kids that go in the morning and kids in the afternoon and she switches, it's not the worst. You could like that if she wants to play with different kids, but the consistency is probably better, so she creates relationships, plays with them certain ways. So if you can keep that consistent, I would recommend it. What makes you want to change the shifts?
Well, it's actually, since we moved to a smaller city, the job opportunities are is not so high here. So I needed to just adapt myself to what kind of jobs are available here.
Okay.
So those jobs, like I can work as substitute preschool teacher also, even every day, because lack of staff. So one job is, now I'm in training and learning, is preschool, not teacher, but like preschool babysitters, something like that.
Okay.
And another thing that I'm also going to take some courses and work at the same time as a summer job to just experience it and also get some money, is work in old people house.
Okay.
So these two are the current job that I want to try, and actually I must say nowadays they are the only jobs that I can choose. So if I choose to stay in preschool, so it's much easier for me to put the time like exactly like when my child goes to school. if I want to work in old people house, that's a different story. So maybe some days I need to go at work from 1 to 6 or 7, or maybe some days I need to, like the summer schedule that I already have, like from 8 to 2 o'clock. So it can be different day to day or something like that.
I see.
So that's what I wanted to know, because because the most important thing is what is good for my child, and of course we want to we need some more money, but the priority number one is the child.
Yes.
So that's why I'm considering and asking you.
Sure. Like I said, it's going to be a balancing act, because one thing that comes to my mind when you said like 1 to 7, likely isn't good for you to not be there when she wants to go to sleep. So I don't know what her bedtime is, but I would be mindful of that. If you can make sure you're not away during that time, that's very important. If you find a schedule, let's say if it's 1 to 6 and she sleeps at, let's say, 8, I think what's important is to keep it consistent, more than to say that 9 to 1 or whatever, 9 to 2 is better than 1 to 6. So the type of the hours I don't think is as important as keeping it consistent as much as you can. So that's something I would want you to keep in mind.
Okay. Thank you so much. And can I ask another question?
Of course, go ahead.
Here, if someone wants to work in kindergarten or preschool, they need to study, and for 1.5 years or 2 years or 3 years, something like that, depends on which level they want to be. But if you want to work as a substitute teacher, you don't need to study, just some courses you take while you are working there, and then you can do that. So and I was wondering if this can be tough, because for example some days there are only one educated one and the rest are substitutes. So for example, I saw some kids with different behaviors or strange behaviors. Well, I only have the knowledge for my kid, and also I was listening to your father's CDs, but not all the ages that I was dealing with. So I want to know if I'm going to continue with preschools. Do you think I myself, they don't ask me, but should I myself start studying at least about some psychology about children in this, from like age 1 to, because they come from age 1, no one comes from being a baby, but from 1 to like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Should I do it, or what do you suggest?
Certainly, I think, here often it might be the same there, you're saying, depending on substitute or not, but you usually have to study some kind of child development or developmental psychology if you're going to be teaching in a preschool or some kind of school. So I think that, of course, that'd be good, even for your daughter as well. The more you understand, the better, even though not everything you learn will apply to her if you're learning about different types of issues or disorders. But I think, why not do that? And if you decide, I know you're saying you're deciding between some different careers, from working with an older people's home or working with children, then why not go more into educating yourself in that area to be more solid? And even if you can make it where you could then be a teacher, not just the substitute or assistant, it'd probably be good for you to give that stability to yourself. So I think it looks important for you to first pick a career area and then go further into establishing yourself in that area. But to me, I think it's a good idea to study that regardless, even just for having a child yourself, but especially if you're going to be teaching with children, certainly, and also keeping in mind that you're not going to always know or understand every child, even if you do study the child psychology, but it can definitely help you in being more prepared and feeling more comfortable and confident when you're doing so.
Okay. Yes, now I'm just in experiencing these two different to see which one suits me better, and hopefully I will choose one. Even I was thinking, if I want to work in older people's house, I'm going to talk to the boss and say that I can only come at this certain time. times. So thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
You. Very helpful.
Oh, it's very nice talking to you. And yeah, as I said, I think, finding whichever career and then making sure you get to a more solid place within that will be really important, because then you'll feel more stable and what you can do will be more stable. But it was very nice talking to you. Wish you all the best.
Oh, the same. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.